Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you the solution for one of the front-end interview questions asked in Facebook, Google and Netflix. Okay, now let's get into the solution for this given challenge or front-end interview question. Here the front-end interview question is, the challenge is, given a list of checkbox items, transfer checked items from one container to other. Okay, our solution should look like this. It should contain two boxes, left and then right boxes. In between we should have a two arrows, left arrow, right arrow. And then while designing this solution, we should consider these points. We should consider these points. That is, we should create a transfer list component that will handle the entire function. On clicking of the items on the left container, the box should highlight. That means if we select any item, either in right box, either in left box or right box, the item should be highlighted. Like, I mean, if you see here, when item is selected, it's the background color is getting changed to black. Okay, in that way, item should be highlighted. It should happen for both left and right boxes. And the fifth point is, if any of the arrow buttons are clicked, the item should move into the respective boxes. For example, if the first item from the left box is moved, it should move to the right box and should be removed from the left box. Finally, should be unchecked. Okay. If an item from the left box is moved to left, nothing should happen. Similarly, if an item from the right box is moved to right, nothing should happen. Okay, these are the points we should consider while designing solution for this challenge, front-end interview challenge. Okay, now let's move to the VS Code to design solution. For that, let me add a file. Called transfer list transfer list.jsx. Okay, transfer list.jsx. Here let me add boilerplate code using shortcut. Okay, using shortcut, let me save this and then let me add this component in our app.jsx. Okay, for that, what I'm going to do is simply add the component which we designed. Right now the component has simple text, that is transfer list. Let me refresh application. Yeah, it's working. Now let's start designing solution for our front-end interview challenge. Okay, front-end interview challenge. For that, let me add the items which we should use for our challenge to transfer from one box to another box, that is from left box to right box or right box to left box. For that, I'm going to initialize one state variable using useStateHook. Let me use it. Okay, source items, set source items. I will be passing initial state as the values which we want to use for our challenge. Okay, the items are id 1, name, item 1, item 1. Okay, let me copy then let me change values. Okay, let me save. Now we are done with having the data required for our challenge. Next thing is, let me start designing the UI first. Okay, for that what I'm going to do is, okay, simply first let me design the outer container. For that, let me add styles, okay, flex, x call, item center, justify center, min fetch screen, bg gray red, okay, and then padding 4. Let me save. Inside this, let me add header. That is transfer list. Let me add styles as well. For this, text to Excel, font bold, margin bottom 6. Okay, let me save and then check. Yeah, it's now displaying at the center of our screen. Next thing is, we should have container. We should have container with a background color, and then inside the container we should have left box, right box, and then in middle we should have left arrow and then right arrow. For that, let me take one container div. Okay, inside this what we want to have is, inside this we want to have one more div, and then here we should contain, or we should display one thing is left container, and then buttons. I'm simply creating a template first, and then I will add all the required UI elements. Okay, all the required UI elements, and then right container. Okay, we should have like this. Let me it's actually displaying in the vertical fashion, but we want to have in the horizontal fashion, right? For that, let me add classes. Let me add Tailwind CSS classes for styling. Okay, class name bg white, okay, shadow, and then rounded. We take LJ large, padding 6, width full, max width 4 XL. Okay, now inside this, for this container, with this div, it should be flex display, justify between space x4, space between flex items is 4. Let me save and then check. Yeah, now it's looking good. Now what we have to do is, in this left container place we should have a left box, and then it should contain items, and then here left arrow, right arrow, and then again here left right box. Okay, for that, let me add the data as well as styles. Okay, data as well as styles. This is source container or left box, I can say left box. left box. Okay, now here what I want to do is I want to display a box or container, and then inside that I should display these items initially. As soon as we launch application, the left box should contain all these items. Okay, for that what I'm going to do is let me add, okay, let me remove this, and then inside this let me add one header h2, okay, that is source items, and then let me add classes here. Okay, that is text lg, font semi-bold, margin bottom 4, margin bottom 4. This is about, okay, source items. Now let me add style for this, source or left box, source container or left box. Okay, source container or left box, pg gray 50, p4 rounded, width I want to have off of the our parent container. Okay, of the parent container, that is 1/2 shadow inner. Let me save. Okay, now if you see here, we got a box here, now the next thing we want to do is we should display these items inside that left box. Okay, inside that left box. For that what I'm going to do is I'm going to use map function to iterate okay, of the items, source items. Here what I'm going to do is I'm using map function to loop through all the items, and then display inside left box, Okay, div and then label okay, label is item dot name. Okay, now let me save this. Okay, each child should contain unique key. Okay, for that what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign a key for this div, key equal to item dot id. Okay, item dot id. Let me save now and then check. Yeah, if you see here, we are now displaying all the items from the state variable. Now what we want to do is we should add some styles for this. Okay, some styles, as well as we should assign few events. One is to select item, and then other is to move item. Okay, for that let me add first styles class name. Let me assign some border, margin bottom 2. Okay, for this, for label we want to add couple of events. Okay, couple of events. Okay, events is first thing is as we seen in the challenge, whenever we click on item, it should be highlighted, right? It should be highlighted. For that what I want to add is I'm going to add one event here, that is on click, and then inside on click I'm going to pass an event handler. Okay, event handler is handle item click, handle sorry handle item click, for which we should pass the item ID, which item we would like to handle. Okay, for that I'm passing item.id. Now let me save this, and then after that we should add one more state variable to handle this item click. Okay, whenever we click on item, it's like we are going to use a state variable to save the selected items, for that let me initialize one more state variable, that is selected items. Now using use state hook. Okay, this will be initially empty. Okay, initially it's an empty array. Now whenever we click on item, what we are going to do is we should update this state variable. Okay, to gather the list of selected items. For that, let me provide implementation for this handle item click, for which we are passing the item ID. Okay, inside this, what we should do is whenever we click on an item, we should first check whether the item is already selected or not. Okay, if it's already selected, we should simply remove the highlight. That means it should not be part of selected items. If it's not selected, it should be part of selected items. For that, let me add a condition. Is selected equal to selected items dot includes this ID, the respective item ID. If the item ID of that item is part of this selected items, that means it's already selected. If it's not part of this selected items array or state variable, it is selected for the first time. Okay, it is selected for the first time. Then in that case, what we want to do here is we want to update set selected items based on this condition. If it's already selected, we should remove from the selected items array. If it's not selected, we should add it to the selected items. For that, I am going to update the state variable based on that condition. Is selected items dot filter. That means we should remove from the selected items dot filter item not equal to ID. Okay, simply we are actually removing the ID. In the selected items, we are actually storing all the IDs of the respective selected items. Okay, so whenever we click on any item, we should first check whether that ID is part of selected items. If it's part of selected items, we should remove from the selected items. If it's not part, we should add that ID to selected items variable. Okay, now that is the thing we should do here. The next thing is, if the condition is false, that means this ID is not part of this selected items, we should add. Okay, we should add. For that what we want to do is we simply update the selected items array by adding the id. Okay, by adding the id. With this we are now done with defining or adding implementation for handle item click. Okay, now the next thing is what we have to do is whenever we click on any item, that respective item should be highlighted. For that I'm going to use Tailwind CSS. Tailwind CSS. Here let me add class name. And then I will be adding background or changing the background color based on the item selection. For this I'm going to use string literals. Why? Because we want to change the background color dynamically. If it's selected, we should have some color. If it's not selected, we should have a normal color. For that I'm using string literals, as well as I'm adding first thing is what we want to do is we want to check whether the item is selected or not. How we can check whether the item is selected or not? If it's part of selected items, array, that means the item is selected. Okay, that means the item is selected. If selected items dot includes item dot id, that means the item is selected. Then I want to have a background color blue. If it's selected, I want to have a background color blue. Okay, 500. And then text color should be white. And then let me have a shadow LG. If it's not selected, what I want to have is, if it's not selected, I want to have different background color. Okay, different background color, that is white background color. That's it. Okay, for that what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add one more Tailwind CSS class, that is bg white, and then on hover over I want to change the basic color, background color, gray 200. Okay, that's it. Now we are done with highlighting item whenever we select. Let me check that. Let me go to browser, let me refresh and then check. If you see here, when I click on it, the background color is getting changed to blue. If I click again, it's changing to white. If I hover over on it, the background color is changing to little bit like just gray color. Okay, now let me add couple of Tailwind CSS to make it more beautiful. Okay, let me add here. Where is our classes? Okay, from here, right? Okay, inside here I'm going to add styles, that is block display, padding 2, border, rounded, and then cursor pointer. Whenever we try to click on it, we should have a cursor pointer to show to display for users like it's a clickable thing. Okay, and then transition all. Let me save it and then see. Yeah, if you see here now, it's more beautiful. Now. Let me go here and then now let me add buttons. Okay, for that let me add button. One is greater than, one is greater than, that is for right, that is for right, okay, and the other is, let me copy and then have less than. Let me save it, let me save it and then check the display. Yeah, it's showing but it's not properly aligned. Let me add styles for this. Let me add styles for this. Okay, for that, let me add styles. Class name should be a flex column, flex column. That is, I want to align the items vertically, not horizontally. Okay, not horizontally. And then justify center, space between flex item should be 4. We should specify why here, because we want to display vertically. Let me save this and then let me add styles for this buttons as well. Class name px4 py2, background blue, background blue, text white, rounded, and then hover over. I want to change the basic color slightly. Okay, I want to change the basic color slightly. Okay, here we used 500, I will use 700. Okay, and then transition. Let me save. Let me copy the same classes for this also. Let me save and then go here. Yeah, now if you see here, we got these left and then right arrows. Instead of arrows, I simply added greater than and then less than symbols. Let me try adding that as well. Let me check if it will. Yep, it's bit clean now. Okay, let me save it. Sorry, here we should add, or less than, it should be here. Yep, it's now proper alignment. After this, we want to add some events for buttons as well. That is, when we select any item and then click on this right arrow or right greater than symbol, the respective item should be moved to the right container, right? For that, we should add some events. That is, again, on click event. On click, we want to handle event, that is transfer event. Okay, on click, what I want to do is I want to transfer. For that, let me add event handler handle transfer, for which I'm going to pass the direction. Why? Because if I want to transfer items from source to destination, that is right side. If I move from right side, that is the destination to source, it's a left side. So the direction as well. So I'm passing the direction as a parameter. Right. Okay. Direction as parameter. The similar way for left arrow, let me pass the same action, same event, and then change the parameter to left. Okay. Now we should handle transfer based on user action. For that, let me go and implement handle transfer event handler. Okay, handle transfer event handler. Let's copy this and then go top, const handle transfer equal to here direction, which direction you want to transfer. Okay, here direction. Now inside this, what we have to do is we should actually update the source items as well as destination items. Okay, for that let me take or let me initialize one more state variable to store destination items. Okay, for that destination items. Destination items, set destination items. Initially the destination, that is here, if you see here, right? Okay, I'm getting error here. Let me save this first. Use state, initially it will be empty. Let me save and then go here. You see here, initially as soon as we launch the application, source container will have items, destination will be empty. Okay, for that I'm assigning empty array to this empty array to destination items variable as soon as we launch application initial time. Okay, now let me implement handle transfer event handler. Let me implement handle transfer event handler. Inside this we are going to update the state variables, that is state variables source items as well as destination items based on the direction. So for that we should copy them into new array before we changing the state of those variables. Why? Because we should not directly change the state of state variable. Okay, let me copy into let updated source items equal to source items. Okay, source items. I'm simply copying the array into new array. Okay, I'm simply creating new array by copying the existing array. Okay, destination items, here destination items. Okay, now what I'm going to do is, now first I should check or loop through the selected items. Okay, based on the selected items. Why? Because I am storing all the IDs of items which we selected inside this selected item. So based on this variable or state variable, I gonna fetch state item names, that is item names. Okay, for that what I'm doing here is I simply loop through selected items dot map selected items dot map. For each we should loop through all items, that is all IDs inside selected items, inside selected items, inside selected items, inside selected items. What I'm going to do is I simply fetch item names. I simply fetch item names based on the IDs. I simply fetch item names, selected item names based on IDs available inside selected items, based on IDs available inside selected items. Okay, for that what I'm going to do is I should get the items based on this direction. If direction is kind of right, if direction is right, that means user selected items inside source. If direction is left, user selected items from destination. For that, based on direction, I am going to get the item names from the respective arrays, For that if direction equal to right, that means user transferring items from source to destination. Okay, from source to destination, that means we should get the item names from the source array. For that, if it's right, then we should get the item names from the updated source items array updated source items array, and then find item. From each item, compare the IDs. If item ID equals to ID, if item ID equals to ID, then we should get the respective items. Then we should get respective items from the source updated source items. Okay, not here we are not getting the not only the names, we are actually getting the all along with the selected items. Let me keep selected items. Okay, from here whatever item matching with this ID, we should get that matching ID into this selected items. Okay, if it's right, we should get it from source. If it's not right, we should get it from destination. Okay, we should get it from, simply copy and then change this to destination. Okay, now we selected or we got the all selected items. Now we got the all selected items based on direction. If it's right, we fetch all items from the selected items from the source items, updated source items array. If it's not, we get items from the updated destination items. Now once we get this selected items, okay, maybe here it's maybe confusion thing. Let me change it to selected item values. Okay, selected items values. Okay, now here once we get that, if selected items value is not empty and direction equal to right, then what we want to do is we simply move these items from source to destination and then update the destination items. Okay, for that what I'm going to do is I simply use and then push the selected item values. Okay, if it's right and then push it, else what we want to do is it's if the direction is else if the direction is left, selected items value is not empty and then direction is left, we should update this array, updated source items dot push selected items values. Okay, now why it's throwing error? Okay, let me copy this. Selected items okay, we did something wrong. We should keep this inside here only. Yep. Okay, else if missing something. Else if yep, let me format it. Yeah, now we are done with updating source and then destination based on the direction and then selected items values. Okay, now what I want to do here is, let me check how exactly this is. So before that we should implement right box, that is right container. Okay, I can simply copy paste from this source because it's similar. Only thing is it's gonna change is this value, it seems. Okay, let me copy. Okay, and then paste it here and then change value destination items. Okay, let me check anything. Yep, save it. Let's go here. Okay, we should actually change something here. We should not contain this map because initially the destination should be empty. Initially the destination should be empty. Okay, for that what we want to do is we should change this as well, source items. Okay, instead of source items, let me use this destination items. Now let me save it and then check. Yep, it's now perfect. Now let me test whether this works or not. If I select one, click on here. Okay, it's not showing here. Let me check what is the issue here. We actually updating. Okay, we forgot one thing here. We inside handle transfer event handler implementation, we should actually update our source and destination state variables after this logic. Okay, for that here, okay, here after this set source items to this updated source items. We should update the variable, state variable. In the similar way, set destination items to updated destination items. Okay, updated destination items. Now let me check, and then we should actually set one more state variable, that is set selected items to empty array again, empty array after this operation. Now let's go here. Let me refresh. Now if you see here, now its item is moved from source to destination, but it's not removed inside source. Whenever we transfer items from source to destination or from one container to another container, the item should be removed in one container and then added to the other container. It should not be in both containers. Okay, for that let me change the logic here. After updating our destination items as well as source items, we should do one more thing here. That is, we should filter this ID, whatever the ID which is selected, which is there in the selector, we should filter that ID, that item. Okay, we should filter that item. For that, let me do one thing. Update source items. Okay, update source items. There it is. Yeah, here update source items dot equal to update source items dot filter. Okay, we should filter the selected item from source. When we move from source to destination, we should remove from source, right? For that reason, we are actually filtering. Okay, item dot id not equal to id. Okay, what exactly we are doing here is we are simply filtering the values. That means we are updating source item with items, all items except the item which is matching with this, except the item for which ID is matching with this ID. Okay, that means we are removing the item from source. In the similar way, we should update the destination items if we move from right to left. Okay, similarly here we should update this when we move from right to left, right to left. Let's save this and then now check. Let me refresh. If I click on here, see now item 1 moved or transferred from source items to destination items, and then the item is removed from source and then added to destination. In the similar way, let me add item 4. See here, let me try from right to left. There is select again item 1, click on left arrow. It's now moved or transferred from destination to source. Okay, now we have one more condition which we have to check. That is, if I don't select anything and then try to perform transfer, nothing should happen. If you see here, nothing is happening. Okay, if I don't select anything and then try to transfer, nothing is happening. Again, one more thing is, if I select item 2 which is in source and then try to transfer into same container, that is source, if I click on here, you should just deselect or should not be moved. Okay, even in this case as well, it should be nothing should happen when we try to move containers from one container to the same container. Okay, if I want to transfer to the same container, nothing should happen. Okay, let me try. See here, everything is working fine. Let me select and then try to move. It won't happen. Let me go here and then select and then try to transfer to the same container. Nothing should happen. Okay, this is all about this. This is all about the solution for our front-end interview challenge, where we should move items from one container to another container based on the selection and then user operation, that is left arrow or right arrow. Okay, this is all about today's video. If you like the video, please do like, comment and share. Please do subscribe. Thanks for watching.